No, do we go into?
And you're on.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the May 9th River Falls Council meeting. First thing we do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Christie, can I roll call, please?
Bierstedt.
Here.
Bjork.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Gagne.
Here.
Morset.
Here.
Odine.
Here.
Watson.
Here.
Okay, next we have approval of the meeting minutes from April 18th and April 25th.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we'll have approval of bills with Mr. Bjork.
I'd like to ask for approval of bills of $686,750.41.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to public comments. If anybody in the audience has anything they'd like to talk about, now would be the time. Yep. Come on up. Sign in and just so everybody remembers for public comments, we listen to whatever you have to say and the council doesn't interact.
Good evening, Mayor Dan, council members, city administration and staff, and fellow guests here tonight. We have a big crowd tonight.
They
This is
knew
unusual.
they knew you were coming.
Are we? I think they saw your ad at the theater.
Yeah.
Buying your chair is what I was impressed with. I'm William Hanson from the town of River Falls. I want to thank you for your continuing effort in support of renewable energy. Congratulations for generating 2.1 million kilowatt hours of electricity in 2016 using the two River Falls dams and hydros. This electricity was produced at a cost of 3.8 cents per kilowatt hour. Sale of this electricity at the River Falls retail energy rate of 9.77 cents per kilowatt resulted in an excess over costs of $125,000, which was added to the city electric fund reserves. The dams are paying their way, in addition to providing a unique lake environment here in the heart of the city, easily accessible with the White Pathway. Many don't realize that Free the Kenny means the destruction of the dams, lakes, and hydros. I've brought you a brochure tonight containing some thoughts regarding the Kenny, the dams and hydros, and I want to thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration of this important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Is there anybody else in the audience have anything? Sure, come on up. Just sign in there and state your name.
All right. Good evening, members of the council, mayor, everyone. We do have a large crowd here tonight. I think a lot of us are here for DeSanctis Park. We're unsure where it is at with the council. There's a lot of hearsay, things like that. We noticed there was things on the agenda earlier. Most of us are landowners around the park. Some are just in the neighborhood as well. Believe strongly that the land swap would not be in the best interest of the city of River Falls. We have, when we bought and moved, I don't know, I believe you have a packet in your information tonight. I don't know if you do or not. But there's a lot of information on the families and who lives around there. So I know I won't be the only one talking, but just wanted to touch base on that and what a hot topic it is with us, and why we feel it's not in the best interest of the city of River Falls to go ahead with the DeSantis land swap. So I will let one of my neighbors and friends speak right now if they want to. But I will keep mine brief. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Reich. I've been a resident of River Falls here for over 30 years. I do have a house that actually borders on two sides DeSantis Park at 1306 Roosevelt Street. You might be familiar with it. It's the last street at the end of the road, or last house at the end of the road before you enter the park. I don't like to read to people, but I want to stay on topic and not get off, and so it'll take maybe 3 minutes, okay, of time. And I've been here since the beginning of our neighborhood and lived at 1306 Roosevelt Street for the past 31 years. Prior to the development of the park, made possible by the generous donation of the DeSantis family, we were surrounded by farmland. I recall watching the construction of the park, giant earth movers arranged by Pete DeSantis and provided by the United States Air National Guard, dug out the pond near the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse wasn't there at the time. And they used that soil to build a sledding hill and the other small hill at the other end of the park. We hosted the airmen for lunch in our garage a couple of times. Like all our neighbors, we have come to love the park and we care for it quite a bit. I mow the entrance area around the front of the park where the mower can't get. I plant flowers in the barrel at the beginning of the park where the sign is announcing the park. We reported vandalism when the school was vandalized as they were building it. We've been guardians of the park. Like all our neighbors, we have come to love the park, care for it. My hobby is photography. I have a file of over 600 photos of the park because I'd love to go out there and take photos. Just a couple. Did I pull them out already? Pulled them out. You can see a view from my house to the park. Okay, it's a beautiful view of the fall scene. We can see the park. Well, this is to my west. This view will go. If new houses come in, I'll be having houses right along there. No longer have view of the house, of the park there. Also, that view is sort of a unique view because I took my tripod, set it up on the roof of my house, got up on the roof, and took a picture so I could get a picture of perspective from the park. So I take advantage of the park and to take photos of it, and just see what it's like. As I say, we are open on two sides, and so we would lose all views of the park if this is approved, okay, the land swap. The park borders our home, as I said, on both sides. We feel threatened by the potential loss of what makes our location very special to us. We could go from an area with open park views from our home to being surrounded by as many as 5 other homes. That's just not right. I recall at the time the park was planned, the DeSantis family proposed donating, I think, approximately 27 acres for park development, and they retained the current farmland, about 6 acres along Division Street, for future development. I seem to recall seeing a plot of about 15 future lots located along Division Street. I've always expected homes to be built along that street. I believe that the DeSantis family also believed that they could develop that land and sell those lots. After the agreement was final, something changed. New rules were enacted that restricted driveway access to Division Street. This rule change made future development very difficult. It is what made the land undevelopable. Now, through no fault of their own, the park has become, or the land has become less valuable. Perhaps it turned out not to be the best decision in the long run for them. Maybe they should have developed it earlier. Who knows? Who's responsible? Not the DeSantis family, and certainly not the current residents who border the park, and who will lose wonderful park experiences and thousands of dollars in lost property values if the proposed swap is enacted. We should not be required to pay for this development with lost land values. It's just not right. We need to find a solution that satisfies both groups. Another problem is there are no sidewalks that lead to the park. All visitors, including unsupervised young children, must enter the park via city streets. This can be very dangerous. Having observed the intersection of Field and Roosevelt Street for many years, I have witnessed dozens of close calls. Kids who ride bikes, rollerblades, and skateboards right through the intersection, lined up right down the park, and they go right into the park. They go through the intersection without checking for traffic. Cars often cut the corner and speed through the neighborhood. Many years ago, there was a kid, and it was dusk, and they were riding down the Roosevelt Street downhill into the park on their skateboards. But they weren't standing up on their skateboards, they were lying on their bellies and skating down, coming down the hill. Okay? Well, right when they got to the intersection, they sped right through just as the car turned around and went through the intersection. Now, they could have been killed. They wouldn't expect a driver to see a kid laying on a skateboard, going down the street, and so on. So I went downtown and I talked to people someplace in the municipal building or the police, and I forget who I talked to. And I asked whether or not we could put a stop sign on the corner of Field Street just to protect kids from zipping into the park. And I got a call back about 2 days later and said, well, it's not warranted to put a stop sign on that corner. Well, by having increased development, what we're going to have is increased traffic through that, and I'm sure we'll have more close calls. And I think simply that's just not right. The entrance to the proposed new development is very inefficient and a circuitous route involving many turns, perhaps as many as 6. You'd have to make a right or left turn off Apollo, a left turn on Field, a right turn on Roosevelt, a left turn on proposed street number 1, another left turn on proposed street number 2, and perhaps a right on proposed street number 3. Certainly that's not a very efficient low flow of traffic through the neighborhood. It's just not right. The park is viewed as an economic and aesthetic asset by new home buyers as well as longtime residents. Personally, we would lose views in 2 directions. Our appreciation of the park, unfortunately, has already diminished, because when we look out our window today, rather than seeing just the beauty of the park, now we see what we would be missing. I shudder to think how much my home value would be lost if this swap is approved. I would have a road immediately next to my house, okay, 6 or 8 feet out on one side, and then homes in the back, and all that development, all the trucks, all the traffic, every single one of them, and the only way in and out of that neighborhood is on my lot, okay, in that case. And I think that's just not right. I think what we need to do is to work for a better solution, to make sure that the DeSanctises get some value for what they deserve, and to make sure the residents who have been there for many years are also protected. Perhaps we'll propose a solution tonight. Perhaps the city could consider some kind of purchase of the land. Perhaps we could do some development on the west side of the lot where no one else will be affected by it. And I believe there must be a solution there that we can come together and both sides can appreciate the result of it. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the consideration that you're going to give our park and to the rest of the people that we have speaking tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Rake. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add, other than the same thing? You know what? Anything new? Otherwise, we can move on. Oh, come on up.
My name is Patricia LaRue. I live at 489 Marcella Court. I ask if you're here because of Marcella Court to please stand up so they know who's here, except for Barb. For DeSanctis Park, I'm sorry. So this is the group that's with us, and I want to welcome Sean. The first time here, we're part of his alderman. But I would ask if someone on the city council would, if we gave you a head person, that you would meet with us and follow along, as we're sure this isn't just going to be dropped. But as things are moving and you can sit down now. And memorandums are drafted, and I mean, we all dread the day we look out our windows and we see the surveyors starting to block out these houses that are going to be behind us. And we really think that if you will work with us, we can figure out something. The DeSanctises are great people, and they have reached out to us to let us know that they're thinking of us too. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Patricia. Okay. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Joshua Stein. I live on 1327 West Division, so I'm the last house on Division Street, or the last driveway on Division Street as you're heading west out of town. And I don't need to repeat what anyone else has said. I haven't been in the park as long as Mr. Reich. I've only been there for, well, I shouldn't say only, 15 years now. Bought the lot rather, when my daughter was 6 months old. We've since had a couple of kids that we've added, so we have 3 that are there now. And I just wanted to point out that we didn't just haphazardly choose to live where we live, as most people don't, but we specifically chose that lot and that location because we knew as we had kids in the future, Division's a pretty busy street. That was kind of a bummer, but the park was behind us. We specifically chose that lot for that reason. And now we feel like there's other options that the city could develop in the land swap maybe with DeSanctus's that don't include taking away park access from, I think it's 14 houses and then giving it to 6 with a net total of more people losing park access than have access now with a negative 8 people, 8 houses having access to the park. So I just come before you, the city council, to implore you to maybe consider doing what's best for the DeSanctus's, but doing so not helping one or just a few at the detriment of so many that are here today. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Anybody else?
Hi.
Hi,
My name is Barbara Brannon, and I'd just like to say, I've been on Marcella Court for 26 years now, and the park is beyond my backyard, and I just really like it there, and I plan on living there the rest of my life, hopefully, and me and my dog go sit in the park, and me and my husband watch the sunsets from our deck there, and it's just been a wonderful experience that I just hope we can keep, and I just want to let you know I'm in favor of keeping the park. And thank you.
Thanks. Okay, anybody else with anything new? Okay,
Sign in here. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Rebecca Vogelin. I live at 519 Marcella Court. We purchased our home 18 years ago. We lived next to Pete and Sue. We watched Pete and Sue suffer with the misdiagnosis of their child, Ryan. I was very close to Ryan and the DeSanctus's. I loved it when Ryan came over. Sue got sick, she got cancer. I was there. We were a neighborhood that helped out. So the DeSanctus's purchased this land in honor of their son, Ryan. I watched them suffer greatly. And the whole objective to the DeSanctus's having this park and purchasing it would be dedicating it to Ryan DeSanctus. And so you will ruin Ryan DeSanctus Park if you build on this. We'll have rooftops. It'll be everything Sue and Pete go against. They don't want this. This is a great city. This is unique, this park we have. Everybody comes to our house and they just can't believe the view we have. If we have to look out and see rooftops versus what we have, it will destroy this land. So I'm just asking you to please do not build on this location. so we can keep Ryan DeSanctis Park alive. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on then. Now, do we have to go in, we don't have to for the change of agent? I don't think so. Okay, we'll move on to a change of agent request. Quick Trip, doing business as Quick Trip number 301, 1200 South Main Street, is looking for a change of agent. So I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the change of agent request.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Yep.
I'd like to ask the proposed agent a couple questions.
Yep.
Look at that, we get a 2-for-1.
Yeah, you do. Be nice to the baby.
I will.
So which one is it going to be?
I'm going to ask her that when she gets there. I haven't gotten to that point yet. Thanks for coming in tonight, Kayla. I have 3 standard questions that I ask every agent that applies for a liquor license in the city of River Falls.
Can I just clarify, like, I have been the agent for the last 2 years. I just took an FMLA,
Oh,
so.
okay,
Like, this is not necessarily a new
okay.
agent. I'm just, for the 12 weeks I was gone having the baby,
Oh.
someone
Coming
stepped
back.
So
in, so I'm just
okay.
coming back. So I have been the existing
You
agent.
spoiled my whole fun, Kayla.
Okay. I mean,
I'll reserve the questions then, because I know you already know what the duties of an agent are and the
Yeah,
requirements. So thank
absolutely.
you very much for coming in.
all right.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
And congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, move on to the consent agenda. 2 is a resolution regarding agent of record. This resolution would appoint Associated Financial Group as the city's agent of record. Next one is a resolution approving agreement for EMS study. This resolution would approve the selection of Emergency Services Consulting International as a consultant to review the city's EMS department. Next one is a resolution regarding official newspaper. This resolution would designate the River Falls Journal as the city paper. Does anybody want to pull anything? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ordinances and resolutions. Resolution authorizing City Hall remodeling project. This resolution would allow interior alterations for City Hall to move forward.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we accept the or pass the resolution authorizing City Hall remodeling project.
Second.
I'd like to have more study on that if I could. I need to understand it a little more before I can accept it. I know we went through it, but I just have so many people asking about why, and if nothing else, I'd like us to share why on the air so people can hear why we're going through this exercise.
Sure. So do you have specific questions, or you want
No,
to talk
just
about the project in
the
general?
project in general.
Okay. So the project you're being asked to approve was on the capital improvement plan, part of our strategic plan for improving customer service at the City Hall. Among other areas that we've improved customer service through purchase of technology or other changes in our hours in park service and other things. So the City Hall is one of those efforts. The focus on this project, which has a capital improvement plan budget of about $175,000 total, we make modifications to the front end of City Hall. It's about an 8-year-old building. You'd be providing some changes to the front counter, access for customers, some additional areas and opportunities for customers to have independent consulting, whether it's on a bill payment issue or other things. We provide better access to the building inspectors. Right now, they're kind of spidering through the building, or we have to take customers a long way through the building to get access to building inspectors, and they're one of the most accessed services in City Hall for walk-up traffic. So this would provide direct access to them. We don't have a good way to make sure when we have guests in City Hall that we know if they're being taken care of visually. So the front desk staff has no visual ability to, if somebody sits down, we can't see them. We don't know if they've been waiting for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. This provides a more traditional waiting area for customers. There would be line of sight with the front desk staff. We've also done a lot of consolidations in the 8 years. We've gone from 5 or 6 independent windows, kind of that almost like you're at a racetrack betting window type arrangement. We've tried to eliminate that hassle for the customers so they can come in, be greeted, and be waited on as they come in the door. So those things are incorporated in this. The focuses here have been customer, court, and clerk. So we were very specific with staff. Everybody's got a wish list now after 8 years of being in the building about things they'd like to have different, just like you would in a house or other places. But we were specific with staff and said, this is not a remodel of City Hall or kind of a let's fix all the things that we think we could fix, because the building is functioning quite well. From an office perspective and interdepartmental perspective, we've had a lot of flexibility and it's worked well. But from the customer's perspective, it hasn't been performing as well as we think it should for the investment we made in the building. So we focused on customer, clerk, and court. There is some community development with the building inspectors, but that's really from the customer's perspective. Building inspectors have good space to work from and don't have any issues. This is so that we can get the customers connected with those staff. So we did some alterations in 2012. We were literally and figuratively taking down walls in River Falls. So when the City Hall was built, it was very compartmentalized. And so we essentially made basically 8-foot openings in some walls so that all of the office areas were moving. I'm not sure if I can think of other major alterations. We really haven't had too much as you'd expect. So this is kind of the big to-do. We waited, thought about it, talked about it. We've surveyed customers, we've looked, made observations. We've had teams kind of working on how best we can serve the traffic. Walk-in traffic, we still get a fair amount, a surprising amount actually, given the ability to do bill pay and everything online. But obviously a lot of the services we provide people are seeking some face-to-face advice or counsel with us. So that's the gist of the entire project here is to improve that customer operation. It'll provide not hospital or medical clinic level confidentiality. That wasn't the goal, but it's to provide some more confidentiality and privacy for people that sometimes aren't in the best of situations and may not want to share with everybody else in City Hall what they're doing. So the remodel should allow people to walk into City Hall, immediately understand where they can go to get help, and allow us as staff, because of the configuration, to provide that help in the most efficient way possible. It's difficult to spend that kind of money 8 years into a building. It's not that atypical given basically all commercial buildings I've had, both on the private side and the public side. You kind of learn what didn't go exactly as planned, and you fix it. And so examples of things we're not doing, where there's been talk about this council chambers, like we're taking up half of the place for 15 people to sit, and the other 80 are in half. And we said that is an issue. We'd like to do it over, but we're not going to spend the money doing it right now. So the focus was customer, clerk, and court.
Perfect. That's what I needed shared. And one other thing, just real quick, does it, because I kind of went through that scenario, not as detailed as you did, Scott, but will it change anyway with people that come in for voting, the way that we're looking at the remodeling, so the people that have to vote at?
Yeah, I mean, there's potential for walk-up voting to change, I think for the better, but certainly the clerk and our volunteer election staff will help give some more feedback on that. But right now you have to go through 3 doors to vote. You'll still have to go through that vestibule still to get into the building, but we're hoping to maybe utilize the lobby area or one of the conference rooms that now will have direct access off the hallway to be able to take people right in, or leave that door open so that it's a little bit easier for people to get in and out. we're pretty hands-on for election. We're a lot more helpful than a lot of places. They kind of hand you the ballot and say, go over there somewhere and vote. We've tended to be, come on, have a seat, sit down. So it might not be quite as nice as that when we're all done. But I think there'll still be the opportunity for people to do that. And we've also kind of looked at some of our accessibility issues. The building really doesn't have anything that would be a change in law or code from that, but we've just been conscious about people with small children, in wheelchairs. We have some visually impaired, and we've tried to look at that too. There wasn't a lot of modification necessary. It was more of if you can minimize the number of, well, you need to go to that window, it helps everybody come into City Hall and be helped a lot easier than if you have to try to figure out where you gotta go. So, it won't be perfect, but it'll be a little bit better. And we think there'll be more benefit than the cost. And that's why we've recommended it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The one concern that I brought up in our one-on-one today was we're going through a police facility study, and one of the locations, or our location that we've potentially chosen, is right next to City Hall. What measures are we going to be able to take in the future to benefit from the changes that we're making today?
So
that police building.
What that helped us understand, or what some of the thinking in this project was, we tried to make sure that there's some immediate benefit to these modifications, that we're not, a lot of times what we do is look at long-term how are we going to get the 20 and 30 and 40-year benefit out of some of these changes. But because the City Hall police station is a possibility, we wanted to make sure that whatever money we're investing now, we're going to get immediate benefit to the customer, because we in fact had that debate about whether we should just do nothing and wait 6, 7 years, whatever the police station is. And again, the discussion internally and the recommendation of staff is there's enough benefit immediately to do that. We've done some things, some of the new offices or the office areas have been opened up for more flexibility to allow for changes maybe later with the police. And in particular, we had discussed a couple private offices and we didn't go with those. We made those spaces more of a conference room space that can be used as office now, but if we bring the police station on, they could be conference rooms in the future. So it doesn't answer your question exactly, I don't think, but we were aware of the police station possibility, but we didn't think it was worth delaying the benefit of this project to kind of see what happens with the police station, which could end up exactly where it is as a remodel. It could be a new building where the old police station is. It could be a building attached to the City Hall, and they're also probably going to consider at least one other site in the city for that. So does that answer your question, kind of where we're headed?
Okay, anything else? Otherwise, I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we got some reports. First one, our city clerk, Amy White, is going to give us a little report on presentation on the upcoming liquor license renewal process, which is always fun.
Good evening. I'm Amy White, your city clerk. This is my first opportunity to give a presentation to you guys, and it's going to be on liquor licensing. We are approaching the renewal phase, and the one thing that I want to remind everybody is that it's not a guarantee to have a liquor licensing. It's actually a privilege to do so, and it is you all that make that determination on whether someone is granted. It's all governed under Wisconsin statute, from Minnesota originally, so just bear with me. Wisconsin statute 125, and we also have a municipal code of 5.08 that also goes into what covers the requirements for a liquor license. what does a liquor license, what does it actually allow you to do? It basically allows you to sell liquor. There's a variety of different licensing requirements and what you need for an establishment needs for a liquor license is and sorry, I'm really nervous.
That's
First
okay.
presentation. I went
Take your time.
through this several times and it went so much smoother. So no, I wasn't going to read anything, but now that my mind's a little scrambled, but no owner or person in charge of a public place may permit consumption of alcohol on the premise unless the person has an appropriate license or permit. There are several different types of licensing, and that's what most people, their questions are. We have 3 different classes, A, B, and C. They all have different quotes around them as well. So if you look at it, the display here, Class A is representative of the beer licensing. The Class A is liquor. The Class A cider is just cider sales. And then we have a combination of Class A and Class A, which essentially means that you can sell both beer and liquor. So, for instance, the Class A, which covers the fermented malt beverages, can be just set alone, which are places like your convenience stores like the Bob and Steve's, BP Amico, Holiday. They simply sell our malt beverages. Class A is the liquor combination and component. Most of the time, people don't just simply sell the liquor component. We have that combination where we have sales from Shopko, other types of grocery stores, Family Fresh. They have the combination sales. Class B is our biggest, the biggest classification type. Again, we have the quotes. They are representative, the same as the Class A. When you have the Class B, that's for just beer sales. Class B is liquor sales. We also have an opportunity for people to have a reserve Class B license. We have temporary Class B. We have temporary Class B wine, and then we have the combination of the Bs. So the Class B fermented malt beverages are simply those establishments that you go into and be served that particular alcoholic beverage. So you consume it on the premises. We have Pizza Hut's an example. They simply serve beer. They chose not to have a combination with an alcohol component. We do not issue Class B liquor licensing, where someone would strictly sell liquor. You would have to do a combination, and that's what everyone's most familiar with, is what your bars are going to be doing, and they're going to have that combination. We also have the temporary, which is often called the picnic licensing. So clubs that just need something temporary, that because they're doing, or the local fairs, they're doing something for a specific amount of time, they're going to get a temporary license. Again, that's your for your approval. Class C is simply wine. And we have one of those in town, which is Steve's Pizza. They just serve wine with their pizza. We have a quota that was also established based on population. Currently, the city of River Falls has 19 Class B licenses issued. That's the max that we are allowed to issue. And then we also have the opportunity at a cost of issuing 5 additional licenses on a reserve basis. For the application process, the forms are available online now, which made it convenient for a lot of people to renew their applications or even get the information for an initial application. We have outlined all of the requirements that are needed. They need to give a description of their premises. They need to identify an agent. They need to make sure that they are licensed with the state of Wisconsin to be able to serve alcohol. All of that information is turned into the clerk's office. We review that information. We set it on to be reviewed by council. We ask that it be given to us 15 days prior to a council action so that we can make sure that everything is in order for you guys to review. We set it on for the public hearing, and then we put a notice in the paper, as well as any type of agent. All of that information gets turned over to the police department, and they are kind enough to do the background checks on the individuals to approve whether or not they can be an agent. We are in the renewal process, and those letters are sent out in April. We only send one letter to remind the businesses in town that have liquor licenses that the renewal process is coming. We do try to work with them to make sure that all of the information is received. Our deadline is May 5th, so that we can get a majority of those particular applications on for the May 23rd council meeting. A personal appearance was made required by council in 2015. That personal appearance by the agent is required in order for that application to be approved. And that is it. So I thank you for getting me through the first part of that. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, or if you have any now, that's fine too.
Amy, can you tell us, since May 5th is come and gone, how many of the applicants have complied with that deadline?
We are waiting for 3.
So
we have 19, so yeah, we are waiting for 3, and I can't tell you which ones they are
That's
without
okay.
looking that up. But.
And then the other question I've got is, what class or how does it work for both on sale and off sale? I can only think of one establishment, I think they still have on sale and off sale, in town that does both. Which class does that fall in, or do they have to get 2 licenses?
You know, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but I can certainly get back to you on that just to make sure.
All right, thank you.
And then Amy, I have a question too.
Yes, certainly.
You talked about 19 being the maximum for a Class B. Is there a maximum on A's and C's?
There is not.
There isn't.
There is not a quota that sets a limit for those. And it's really up to council how many of those are issued in town. I don't have the number offhand that we currently have for Class A, but it's just those that take away that are the major stores where you go in and you purchase the alcohol and you take it away with you. It's not consumed on premises.
I know you said you don't know, but do you have any idea how many A's there are? I mean, grocery stores, Dollar General, it seems like we have a lot. I know it's Wisconsin.
Well, yeah, it would be the grocery stores and Quick Trip and Holiday, and so all of the convenience stores are selling, as well as Shopko. So that would cover all of those establishments.
Yeah, I always find it fun when I have family come in from out of state and they say, "You can buy alcohol any place in this town." And I go, "Yeah, that's the way it is, I guess." So.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good, but that's the way it is. But
You can go a lot of places to satisfy that need, I guess.
Anybody have anything else for Amy?
Comment for the council. I think it bears mentioning that the city has nothing to do with the complexity of the licensing system in the state. And that is a result of the Wisconsin Tavern League and the alcohol distributor lobby in the state. So at some point it probably had something to do with the breweries, but I don't think they influence that much anymore. But it's the attorneys and clerks who work in this always shake their head. It's not logical. It's not something the city would come up with as a program. So we just kind of work within the rules that we're given and do our best to help. And the council has a big role to play, because I think it's also important to emphasize that a liquor license is a privilege, and And so the council has the responsibility to see if people are living up to their responsibility for that, so.
I had one more question for you, Amy. Amy, I had one more question too. So on the 19 Bs, and there's still 3 waiting, are the 19 people that are already there, are they already grandfathered that they get first opportunity to renew those? Or can somebody jump in and take one of those 19 away possibly?
No, they're pretty much grandfathered. They get the first dibs to renew their liquor license.
Okay.
So if for some reason, for instance, if you deny one of them come next council meeting, then essentially that one's up for grab for someone else.
But now there's 3 that are up for grabs if 3 of those people didn't meet the deadline of the 5th then?
No, we give them the deadline of the 5th to make sure that we have enough time to process their paperwork and get them before council before their liquor license expires on June 30th.
Okay, so 5th isn't a deadline.
It's our deadline, asking them to return their materials. Because once we get to the June council meeting, so we do have some time set aside for the June council meeting as well to review applications that kind of come in after our targeted date of getting their information. There's still enough time so that we can make sure that we can process that, receive their payment before we issue their license, and their license expires on June 30th. So we try not to push it out too far to make sure that that renewal process is in place.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay. Let's see, next, we have a brief update on the citizen survey. Scott?
So we have done biannually, every 2 years, a citizen survey beginning in 2013. This will be the 3rd citizen survey. We hire the National Research Center. They do a representative sample, statistically significant survey of our households. And that provides a lot of information for the council to consider for setting the vision for the community based on the feedback that they provide. We do have some opportunity, limited opportunity to have what's called custom questions. Staff I'm reporting to you what questions we're planning to put on there based on the feedback we've received from council. This would be an opportunity for you to provide us any direction as a group, that if there's something that you're, as a group, objecting to, that we can consider that. We do need to get, in order to meet the schedule for the survey, we'd have to get those finalized by Friday. So the questions that we've included, essentially we've used 3 questions that we've done on each of the first 2, because we want to have some trailing data to compare. That would be, have you had any in-person phone or email contact with an employee of the city? And then we ask them what their impression is of the city and rating characteristics. So there's courteous, knowledgeable, and I think we have, I think it was prompt. But there's some traits we ask people to rate of employees, and we'd like to follow that data through and see what the trend line is. Do you feel the city allocates too much, too little, or appropriate amount for sustainability efforts? Those are 3 questions we've asked in the past. And then the 3 that we added based on kind of submissions from the city council and staff discussions, our strategic plan was, do you feel there's adequate affordable housing options in River Falls? And that's just a yes or no, I believe. And then term question for mayor and council. Current term is 2 years. Would you support longer terms? And the last one is, compared to 10 years ago, do you think the downtown is worse, the same, or better? There's a number of questions you see in the memo report that have been suggested by a staff member, a community member, or a council member. Those were not included in order to make way for the ones that we did include. We also we automatically didn't include any open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are $1,800 a piece. And we weren't sure that the answer value amount. Also, those custom open-ended questions are not ones that you can compare against a peer group. So most of these, so the majority of our data set is compared against all cities in the U.S. In fact, we have a kind of a peer group that they compare against, which are, I would say, upper tier communities, kind of full-service communities in our situation. Open-ended questions can give us a lot of information, but we think we can do open-ended questions in a non-statistically significant survey and probably get the same type of information we'd get. The rated questions make sense to put, or forced choice makes sense to do in a kind of random sample survey, but the open-ended we can do on Facebook, we can do it on our website, we can do them at community events. So we tend to do the open-ended questions to those other models. So this is not the only survey of community members, but this is a specific one we do every 2 years to compare against the others. So if you have any comments, questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I have a comment. I wasn't the one that thought of this question, wish I was. One of the open-ended questions that I think would be great, I know $1,800 sounds like a lot of money, but in the broad scheme of things, we got 15,000 plus residents and 6,000 plus students and a lot of tourism building here in town. And I think this question is really important for that fact. It says, how often do you shop in River Falls in a month? And then it follows up with, what type of local businesses do you feel are needed in River Falls? I do see a lot of people going to Hudson for different items, various items that they might be able to get here in town, but they might not be able to. Restaurants, shops, stuff like that, that we could bring to downtown. See going to South Main, down by the Raymer Field there with that whole development being completed. I think there's a lot of opportunity in that question to engage our community and really see what they'd have to say. So whoever thought of that was a good question.
I didn't think of the question, but Chris, I think that's what you're talking about is true. But I think the survey that we're talking about is just something to use for review. The survey that you're talking about, asking the questions, I think that's part of the reason there's 7 of us and a mayor here. We need to be talking and asking the questions because even though the survey might come back and say this, that doesn't mean that's the right answer.
Correct.
The right answer is what we gain from knowledge and understanding talking to people. So I think that open-ended question starts with us asking the people.
I agree with that, and I get engaged in those conversations every time I'm out talking to people in the community or going door to door.
Okay.
I mean, it's a great point, but I think this is another opportunity to hit those people that aren't necessarily going to tell you that stuff when you're at their door because they're in a rush, they're busy, they got family, they got kids. You know, a lot of people are quick, oh, thank you for your stuff, and they move on, unless you're out in the community and in a group with them or at church or stuff like that, then they're going to open up to you. But
The ideal of it, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, but I think asking a question like that is going to lead people to believe that we are actively out there asking people to come to the city, which we don't. We're not out looking for businesses. They come to us. So,
right.
You know, we don't want people to think we're wasting staff time and money doing that when we don't. We have businesses come to us and we do what we can to help them. So, I mean, that's just the way I'm thinking.
I think there's opportunity, as Scott mentioned, too, for Facebook and some other things.
Yeah.
For other feedback.
I have 2 quick questions, if I could, or comments. Scott, could you talk about, I didn't see it in the report, but if I remember from years past, we've had just an absolutely fabulous response rate for our surveys in the past, and I'm putting you on the spot, I don't need exact numbers, but it seems to me like the last one was like 33% or something like that. It was a really large number compared to what we would expect to see.
Our response rate was exceeded. Let me see if I can find it quick on our transparency page here.
That's population or
our survey results have been, the response rate is better, and again I'll remind people that this is the benefit of this survey that we think is that it is a randomized sample of all households, which will include rentals, owned single-family apartments. Basically, if it's got a postal address of any type, including P.O. boxes, I believe they can have a chance to do that, and so then you compile that. And I think I believe we mail out 1,200, and we've had the survey response has been in that neighborhood of 35 to 40%. And of course, let me just see if I can pull it up here quick.
While you're looking for that, I'll throw my other question out there to
Sure.
to distract you. As the survey company does that for a living, as we propose questions to them, do they take our question verbatim, or do they come back potentially and say, we don't want you to get a lead, we're not trying to, maybe this question might be a little leading in their eyes, so they help us recraft those questions, or do they literally just put in the questions that we submit?
It's more the latter, but there's a little help.
Okay.
They'll look for some obvious survey bias in your questions, but they're not going to recraft the question.
Okay.
Although they have a question bank too. If we were really interested in doing open-ended questions, we could look into their question bank and figure that
Okay.
out too.
But we do get some support if they look at it and say, hey, you may want to think about this one.
We had 31% response rate in 2015. So that was 410 returned out of, there was 1,400 that went out, a little under 100 that were returned as non-deliverable, like after they try it a few times, which is part of that random sampling process. So then we ended up with the end number was 1306. So 410 out of 1306, which is 31%. And usually usually these surveys get about 20% return rate. So River Falls people are happy to give us their opinion, which is good. And we'd be fine with it being 40% or 50%. So, and this is not one of those surveys where you can ask to take the survey. There's not a link for anybody to take the survey, because obviously that would defeat the sampling that it's done. So in 2015, because of 2013, people were like, well, I didn't get one in 13. I haven't got one in 15. When is my turn to fill out the survey? And so we'll have to keep waiting for that if you haven't got your turn, but because you won't be able to fill this out. We have ample other surveys, though. If people are interested in providing surveys, there's those opportunities out there.
Maybe you missed it, or maybe I missed it, sorry. So out of them surveys that get sent out, you said there's no link for people to go to. Is it the city? Just for people at home, it's not the city that sends these out. It's a company that randomly selects households.
So National Survey Center will have some items that there'll be a postcard that goes out and has our logo on it, kind of identifies that, hey, you're going to be getting one of these surveys, and don't throw it away, please. It's a real thing. And then they'll get a survey, and I believe that it's dual logo there too. So they'll see National Citizen Survey and City of River Falls on there. And then we'll do something on Facebook that says, if you get an envelope that looks like this, yes, that's from us, and yes, we'd like to get that returned. So it becomes a prized thing if you get one at your house, because it matters. What people put on the surveys helps us understand a picture of the community. So
it is
Just
a completely random selection.
It's random.
Just a comment to that point, I keep a copy of it in my council stuff, and I refer back to it from time to time if there's topics that come up. And I think other council members have made the same comment that they do as well. So we don't just look at it and put it on the shelf, and from time to time, it comes in to different staff reports as well. So it is a useful tool.
On occasion, we've been reminded by council when staff gives a recommendation that, what about the survey results from 2015 that said people want to do this instead? And we appreciate that reminder.
Okay, anything else on the citizen survey?
Are there any other surveys that we're doing that would be more appropriate for specific questions?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are there other surveys that we will be putting out that are more specific for specific questions?
Yes, so currently we just completed the initial Kinney Corridor survey, but people can still provide comments and feedback that'll be included in that. Glen Park concept planning, there'll probably be a survey tool that's used for that. Each year, every participant in a recreation program gets a survey opportunity. We have done some building permit, people that have been issued building permits. We've done some surveying of them to ask them how the process went. So again, there's going to be some specific ones coming up, and it's something we do on a regular basis. So,
Is there one specific for technology?
I'm not aware of anything that the city is doing. The Rural Broadband Coalition, if you're talking about that kind of technology, the Rural Broadband Coalition, I think in Pearson St. Croix County, did a survey that would have come out to households. So we're kind of bombarded with surveys, I'm sure, but the city doesn't have a specific survey coming out on that in the works right now. I can't think, is there any other ones that you're wondering about that I didn't mention?
Nope, you answered my question. Thanks.
Okay, move on to city administrator's report. If anybody's got anything for Scott, I guess we've already, Scott's got anything else for us?
Yeah, I've a few things to mention. May 10th is the incubator groundbreaking. That's tomorrow. Members of the public are welcome to join us. That's at the Sterling Ponds Corporate Park site at the corner of Sutherland and Casey. May 12th, which I think is Friday, 8 a.m. is Coffee with a Cop at American Legion, also a public event. May 18th at 6:30 is a Tech Talk number 4 on hydro facilities and relicensing. This weekend, we're asking all members of the River Falls community to be good hosts, as they typically are. This will kind of be the start of our spring, summer, fall tourist season. In addition to the typical kayakers, bikers, hikers, bird watchers, youth sports fans. We will also have the 2 UWRF commencements. St. Paul Saints barnstorming game with about 2,000 fans. The spring cleanup ends on Saturday, so that's always the last minute rush for everybody to get rid of the things that they've been waiting to get rid of. And the Try for Grace Memorial Triathlon as the morning is Saturday morning. So be courteous, be patient, be kind, show them the River Falls way. I will, if I can, there's 2 other things I want to just briefly update the council on. One, we had an opportunity to review the Kinney Quarter process as a staff this last week. And I think it bears repeating what I repeated to staff, which is we haven't even reached the halfway point of the process. So there is starting to be, at least I sense as somebody that's attended all the meetings and kind of watched, some pent-up frustration that we should be ready to act. Let's get to getting. Let's do something, right? We kind of are a roll-up-our-sleeves kind of community and get something done. This process is intentionally slow, deliberate, and long. So for those of you who are kind of wondering, like, when are we going to get the final plan done and get moving along? The design charrette, which is likely to occur in September or October of this year, is the halfway point of the process. So we're not to the halfway point yet. And the design charrette is only meant to kind of summarize what we've done to this point, collect more feedback from the community on what we think we know or have heard throughout the process, and then kind of sets the stage going forward. So it's going to be a while. We ask everybody to hang in with us, keep coming. We'll keep putting out cookies and coffee, and hopefully we can get there. But patience is really going to be important for people, because I know we like to get things done here. So we will get things done, but we're going to take a little time to figure out what we should be doing first. The second thing, just a couple comments on the Sanctus Park. There isn't an active plan to develop the Sanctus Park. Certainly the DeSanctis family has not initiated any development plans with the city. The city staff has, through its normal course of brainstorming ideas, there's some concepts for doing a swap of land with the DeSanctis family to allow benefits for the community to have a better use of that park, the DeSanctis a better ability to develop some property that they expected to be able to develop. if we were going to go forward with that, we would be about step 2 of a 20-step process. We thought it was important to talk to the DNR, which has some strings attached to the original funding of the park, and the DeSanctis family before we talk to anybody else. So that's where we're at in that process. If the DNR or DeSanctis were to say we're not interested in pursuing it, then there wouldn't be any project at all. There wouldn't be anything to take to a park board or neighborhood group or anything else. So appreciate people's concern about that. I would understand it exactly as somebody who lives on a park. But you have to have some ability to kind of bubble up ideas, and a lot of times those ideas get thrown out after more information is collected. I'm not sure what the process holds for this, but there is some pretty crude sketches, drawings, and copy and paste jobs. Just trying to understand if there's any reason to go forward looking at something out in DeSanctis Park. And I know that's been a frustration of many members of the council historically. They want to kind of get something going on DeSanctis Park. But admittedly, during our strategic planning process, that park is third in line of regional parks. So we've got Glen Park to get through, then Hoffman Park Master Plan before we even get to DeSanctis. So I'm not saying nothing's going to ever happen or that people shouldn't pay attention, but there isn't. We're a long ways from anything happening out there, but I appreciate people's concern about it. And when we've had phone calls from residents asking what's going on, and we've told them exactly that. This is who we've talked to, this is where we're at, and this is why we haven't called you directly to ask you what you think about it, because we're not to that stage, anywhere close to that stage yet. So it's a park, it's zoned park, it's being used park, we're maintaining it as a park. But there is some long-term thing that needs to occur at DeSanctis Park because it's not fixed, it's not finished, it's not particularly functioning as a regional park right now, which is, again, that's our third regional park. It's supposed to have a bigger, larger use in the community. It's not a neighborhood park, so we want to make sure people have some access to that. So there's all kinds of concepts that will be discussed over time. There is no adopted plan by the city council. There's no adopted plan by the park board that I'm aware of. There is a concept plan that the park board looked at maybe 15 or so years ago with a road through there and parking lots and other things. So we'll try to get some of that information on our website for people to see what's out there. But there's no developer working with us to build houses. We haven't done any surveying. We're a long ways from that. So we'd be happy to answer questions as people have them through the process, but we don't have a lot of answers right now because we're just in concept.
Okay. Thanks. Anybody else have anything? Otherwise, move on to announcements. I got a couple proclamations I'd like to read. The first one is for National Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Dan Tolan of the City of River Falls, do proclaim May 2017 as National Preservation Month. And I call upon the people of River Falls to participate in this special observance and join their fellow citizens in seeing, saving, and celebrating the history within our city. Given under my hand and seal of the City of River Falls this 9th day of May 2017. The next one is a proclamation in honor of National Public Works Week, which is May 21st through May 27th. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, And whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collection. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their plan, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials. Now therefore, I, Mayor Dan Tolan of the City of River Falls, do proclaim the week of May 21st through May 27th, 2017 as National Public Works Week, and call upon the people of River Falls to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Given under my hand and seal of the City of River Falls this 9th day of May, 2017. And then we're going to do some volunteer recognition we're going to start doing here at some council meetings. First, we're going to, it's National Volunteer Week for April 23rd through 29th. It's for honoring those, and what we're going to do is we're going to honor those who beautify downtown River Falls with the summer season. National Volunteer Week, celebrated the week of April 23rd, provides an opportunity to recognize the impact of volunteer services in River Falls. Volunteer stories serve to inspire others to take action and discover their collective power in making a difference. The week honors change makers in our community. This year, the city would like to honor Jolene Larson, Sandy Bowen, and the more than 30 volunteers who devote their time each summer season to transforming downtown River Falls with vibrant plants and flowers in hanging baskets and in the 2nd Street gardens, while the Downtown Business Improvement District provides the funding for plants, baskets, mulch, and other items. The baskets and gardens wouldn't exist without the hard work, coordination, and dedication of all the volunteers. Since 2004, 26 2nd Street Gardens, the Hoffman Park entrance, the Maple Street parking lot entrance, the Veteran Park planters, the planters in the median on Main Street, and the hanging baskets have made our downtown and community attractive for visitors and residents alike. Together, we would like to thank all those volunteers who devote their times to make our city a better place. And those volunteers include Deb Freeman, Marcia Ferris, Dory Holter, Arlene Taylor, Lou Lewick, Gabe Schulzberg, Jean Ritzinger, Mary Hoffland, Ruth Lee, Mary Jo I'm going to say this wrong, Pedriana, the Gordon family, Patty Tricker, Emily Higgins, Mary Solom, Leslie Williams, Dr. Becky Klager, Barb Chapin, Nikki Shella, Linda Ross, Audrey Iverson, Kathy Ritchie, Mary Ryder, Christine Wilson, Connie Everson, Barry and Kim Lindsay, Peggy Berg, Brian and Ellen Schultz, Connie Kastner, Jill Schneider, Shirley Overvig, Sandy Bowen, and Jolene Larson. Jolene is also the chair of the Business Improvement District, where she provides countless hours working with businesses and coordinating projects including downtown banners, murals, and marketing pieces. Jolene, Sandy, and all the others, we thank you for the impact you have made and continue to make on the City of River Falls. Thank you guys for all you do. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks. Go ahead, stand up, guys. Let everybody see you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Very nice.
Okay, and this is the fun part. We get to recess now and go have cake with our volunteers. And then we will reconvene at 5 to 8, and we'll go into closed session then. Okay? So we're going to recess now.
Recess, okay.
Or you can just recess.
I can just recess, yeah.